Welcome to Trial by Wine. We take a closer look at crimes that highlight how fascinating humans can be. Schmitty, Swanny and Clarkey visit crimes and run them through their jury of three, debating both sides of the case to agree an appropriate, if totally fictitious, sentence. Please be advised, Trial by Wine may include explicit or disturbing content and will include drunken rambling. Listener discretion is advised. All right, how are we?
Highly strung, I think, would be fair to say. I've got a lot going on. I'm about to take my mother away for her 80th
you're
birthday.
Going away. That's right, yes.
And I'm wedged between having had my twins get back from Japan a couple of days ago, and then mother and I I leave in a day. And it's sort of like getting them back, getting that all sorted, getting the house set up, getting myself ready and getting out of here. And, I'm walking around doing things and thinking, well, that won't happen again for another bed won't be made for another week. That won't happen for another week. And I thought, you know what? It is what it is. I don't have to worry. I just got to get out of here.
We must be living, for different reasons, a parallel life, because today I vacuumed and thought that's the last time this house is going to be vacuumed in about 8 to 10 weeks, isn't it?
Well, you won't be getting around too much. You won't make much sense, darling. Don't worry about it.
I had the same thought. I thought, just que sera, just let it go. Don't worry about it. You can vacuum it when you're walking again.
You might need a little dust buster for around you in the bed to get your crumbs.
I might. I actually asked my sister if she wouldn't mind popping in once a week and just giving things a tidy so that my OCD isn't too triggered. But yeah, same sort of thing. I spent today tidying up, thinking that's not going to be done. And every clear space that I made, I thought that'll be filled by the time I am back out here.
Well, I was thinking, I arrived back on Mother's Day and I thought perhaps I could just say, I don't care what happens in the interim. Do whatever you have to do. But if I could just return and you have done the washing and I have a clean kitchen, everything else I can manage. But I can't walk into that.
Can't they book a deep cleaner? Can't they just book a cleaner?
No. I have the cleaner lady coming whilst the day I leave and whilst I'm away. But it's 4 men in a house who really are used to being, 3 teenage boys. We'll see how we go.
Look, you win. I've only got one in the house, and yet I still, get cranky about what is it? Riddle me how when you've got a dishwasher.
Riddle me.
That is no more than 2 feet from the
from
sink.
The sink.
The food, all the plates go in the sink and stay there. You just put them in the wet cupboard, otherwise known as the dishwasher, and leave them there. They'll get cleaned. I don't understand it. I just don't understand it. And he says, oh, well, I like to let them get wet. I'm like, all right, but it's not like you're rinsing them off and putting them in. You're just leaving them there for the fairy to come.
I think it's moistened up enough. I think we can put it in the wet closet.
I like thinking of
that. It's a toilet, is it a water closet?
Yeah.
A wet cupboard,
water closet, yeah.
Water closet.
My wet cupboard. That's where I hide all the dirty stuff. Yeah.
I think they're moist. Anyway. I think they're damp enough now. I think we can transfer them across.
I think we can. Yeah. And what about you, Clarkey? How are you? He is here for our listeners.
Sorry, yes, I am here. We're having some technical difficulties, so I've been letting you two, on the TV shows when they do that sort of extend thing, fill in the gaps.
Keep chatting,
keep talking. I was very happy for you to do that. Yeah, no, well played, you two. I think I'm good. Swanny, I think you said you were feeling, what was
frazzled.
It? Frazzled. Yeah, I think I'm feeling a little the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had a mad dash from work to here to technical difficulties to all systems go, lights, camera, action.
I saw it on your face. I thought, oh, it's all right. It's all right, Clarkey. It's all going to come together. It always does.
Yeah, that's fine. Right. Exactly right.
Yeah.
Anyway, Stu's gone. He's cracked it and gone to bed, I think. Not cracked it, just gone to bed. It's hard to it's hard to podcast because of where we sit.
Yes,
He's got really no other options other than to go and do that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Oh, well.
I think he might win.
He might win. He might find.
Is it a cold night?
Better night.
It's not too bad at the moment, but the weather's been really weird. Some nights it's got down to kind of 3 degrees or whatever.
Oh,
and others
rude.
It's 10. So you never really know what you're going to get until you realise you're freezing.
Where's your frangipani?
Out the front. So we haven't had frost yet, but we've been very, very close. But the next week says it's 10 and above as a minimum, so should be all right.
Yes, well, I've dropped all the bistro blinds around the deck in the hope that it will act like a conservatory and then I don't need to bring my frangipanis in.
I think you called it a conservatory last week.
I know, well, that's right. And I've been doing like gap filling and stuff and it's very pleasant in there during the day, but I'm worried about my frangipanis. I always am. And I think they're starting to think about being dormant because
When
I'm
you say
losing a few
gap
of the lower
filling,
leaves.
you don't mean like Sally's no more gaps. You mean putting
No, I'm
plants
not.
in the way of the gaps? Is that?
No, there are a couple of bits because it's a bit complicated as all things related to Tony are, but he's got a thing about the blinds flapping around. So he's run all these straps and he's screwed things in and so the blinds are very well adhered in place, but there are places where because of these straps, the connecting bits in the blinds, I can't zip them up. So I've had to put a secondary vinyl in to fill the gaps. It's just the sort of lunacy that we do. Anyway, I'm thinking about getting Tone to bring the frangipanis in now because I think it might be time. I don't know why I'm so obsessed with these two plants, but I'm obsessed with these frangipanis. Probably because for the first time in my life, I've been able to get gardenia to flower and frangipanis to flower. So,
Oh, look at you.
Oh, no, look
Winning.
at me, eh? Arcady. Anyway, boring. I suppose we should introduce ourselves. I'm Schmitty.
I'm Swanny.
And I'm Clarky. And together we are
Trial
by
Wine.
And what are we drinking?
Not wine. Coke Zero. First of the
Good
day.
for you.
Oof.
Nice, fresh, cold can.
I'm just on the pure sparkling and not champagne, just sparkling water.
Just sparkling water.
Not even
wow.
flavoured this time. Gosh, frazzled.
Did you make it yourself?
It's SodaStream's fine.
Is it it's a homebrew?
It's homemade.
Homebrew.
Yeah.
Homebrew.
Yeah, it's like, everything sounds fancy if you say it's home baked or it's homemade or it's homegrown.
It's homemade sparkling.
It's homemade sparkling.
Home pumped.
Beautiful.
What about you, Schmitty?
Pumped. Home gas.
I've just got flat water in a SodaStream bottle.
What?
A day
somebody is
out
heading
from
to surgery.
Yes, and I'm not allowed to have any alcohol.
Didn't think a couple of pirate juices would.
No,
Are you allowed to
set you
have
up.
sparkling?
Yeah, but I just didn't have time to worry about it. I just grabbed this because that's what was there. So I don't mind. I'm happy. I've got to hydrate. Swanny, have you got a story for us?
I do have a story.
Awesome.
Okay, so for today's story, the sources are the Cinemaholic, the Washington Post, Power, Privilege and Justice, episode 1 of season 1 of My Pretty Little Secrets, an episode called Behind Closed Doors. I listened to, not really, I sort of had a brief listen to I guess it was a podcast, it was on like YouTube, called One Last Family Weekend, but I didn't really spend much time on that. And then unfortunately, Clarky, no Wikipedia, nothing.
What?
You hear me?
No one's done the work for
No
you.
one's done the work for me, so it might be a bit light on.
I mean, to be fair, none of those sounded like sources, so I was kind of just going,
It has been a problem. So I'd seen an episode when I was doing a little power walk the other day on the treadmill, and I thought, this is quite interesting. Maybe I can do that. Surely there's more information elsewhere. Well, no, not really. There's not a hell of a lot. And some of it has been conflicting. Like, I've literally got to the end and gone, right, I think I understand that. And then something else has come up. I'm like, that's kind of significant, not what's been, described elsewhere. So anyway, I'm going to tell you it as I can understand it from the different sources that I've got. But there's not a lot of written work to work from. So forgive me if it sounds a little bit basic at times, but it's kind of trying to paint a picture of how we got to a murder. And the murder is of a woman called Diane Pikul. And if I don't tell you that now, you're going to work it out in short shift anyway. So I may as well tell you that. And it also means that I can tell you there was one other little thing that I saw on YouTube, which was called The Murder of Diane Pikul. But again, none of this has a great deal of information in terms of anything that's not in these sort of little, what do you call them? When they do a sort of a reenactment.
Just little articles.
Yeah, there's lots of little reenactments where I think, a lot of it is sort of a little bit of creative license, I think.
Yeah.
And I sort of think, I don't know how much of this you can really take. So I've tried to use different sources that I've got, and the more sort of so the Washington Post, again, what it had was, again, not a description of the crime so much as what happened afterwards, but I've tried to use those ones to a little bit more effect. Anyway, so the crime is set in, the story starts in New York, and we're in sort of New York high society, and I need you to sort of take you back to sort of maybe early into mid-80s, and there's a couple that live there called Diane and Joe Pikul, and by all accounts, they are living a very sort of successful, fast life. He's a very successful banker. They're in limos and town cars. They've got a house in the Hamptons, and they're considered to be a very high-flying couple. And the crime is sort of set around the time of 1987 stock market crash. So on the 19th of October in 1987, after there being an absolute killing made in the 80s, the whole bottom fell out of the market, and it was the biggest day in trading, or the worst day since the Great Depression. And this crime starts a few days after that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you right back to when Diane and Joe Pikul were young and give you a little bit of idea of where they'd come from and how they both ended up in New York and how they ended up becoming a couple. So Joseph Pikul was born to a poor family.
Was he related to Fisher?
No, spelt differently. Not Pikul. Pikul.
I was trying to work out why I know that name.
No, that's because when I first
dawned on me.
Saw the thing about the crime. I wasn't reading it, and I was thinking, how do I remember this? And I was like, it's Pikul, but it's not. It's actually Pikul. Okay, so Joseph Pikul was born to a poor Polish immigrant family in Massachusetts in the US, and he had sort of a dad who was an aggressive drunk and not a particularly nice childhood. But by the time he'd got to high school, he was a very strong student, and he was in the football team and the glee club, and also strong academically. So by the time he finished high school, he was offered a place at Northeastern University, which I'd never heard of. I only thought there was a Northwestern, but there's a Northeastern University in Massachusetts. And off he went there and studied, and by all accounts had a very sort of Eastern Seaboard university life, and met a young girl by the name of Sandy Jarvinen, and this sweet girl would become his first wife. So they were married in around 1960. And at that point, they moved to New York for like the big next chapter of their life. Post-uni, freshly married, and, looking for adventure, looking for success. And sure enough, Joe Pikul arrived at the right time, and he went straight to Wall Street and started work as a money manager. And I've seen it described as sort of like this period where things were really starting to whip up. It was the 60s, and he was right place, right time, and was a very shrewd and aggressive financier. And by the end of the 60s, leading into the 70s, he was already a multi-millionaire, which would have been very significant.
That's a lot.
At that time. Even for New York, I think that was impressive. So he was very much a self-made man and was respected as such. And certainly in the financial press and by his peers and colleagues, people knew what they were getting. They said that he trusted his own counsel. He was very much a man who made the decisions based on what he thought was right. And I think people really respected that. I don't think it's someone who's come from, we know he's not someone who's come from privilege, but a lot of those things where you talk about society in New York and, certainly in the UK and that as well, it's where people end up because they've been generations or their father's been there or whatever else. This was absolutely not the case. He came in, there was opportunity, he saw it, he seized it, and he really made a killing out of it. Probably bad use of the word. He was such a wheeler and dealer that it was described as he would quite often catch the Concorde to London, and he would check out stocks there. So he was highly mobile. Fancy. And life was really good in terms of his work life was incredibly stressful. He worked brutal hours. The pressure was on. And whilst he was succeeding at work, it was putting enormous pressure on his marriage, and it was breaking down. To coincide with the success that he was seeing at work, he was drinking a lot. And with such long hours, a lot of drinking, he became quite violent. And I don't think he was particularly nice to sweet Sandy. And their marriage died dissolved, and I think he began to drink even more. And actually, by the into the early 70s, I don't think things were quite as rosy as they had been at the back end of the 60s. He ended up starting to over sort of stretch himself, and I don't think he had access to as much money as he previously had. I think, it's the markets. They come and, there's highs, there's lows, as we well know. Yep. So where he had been riding high at the back end of the decade, as we sort of go into the beginning of the 70s, things aren't quite so rosy. And his drinking is becoming a problem. He's starting to be known for it at work.
And he's
starting to be known for the drinking at work, where they say he's turned up drunk. He's drunk at work.
Yeah, right.
And I don't doubt that there were probably a lot of people drinking at work in those days. think of that Mad Men environment, right? Scotch, they're going out for business, probably all men, that whole environment. But
turning
I didn't
up
say
drunk
turning
is
up drunk,
different.
just being drunk at work.
No,
so there's that. He's just drinking excessively. So, I'm sure you're probably allowed to drink at work. Okay. I don't know. But, it was becoming obvious and problematic. And there was starting to be incidents where he was starting to act out, and he had always had a bit of a temper, but it was
his asshole.
Correct.
And
a bit like that place where some of us would go to lunch and have shots of tequila and then go back to work.
I never did that. I only went there at night. But
I did sometimes.
Hey, where was that?
It was in Mount Alexander Road in Many Ponds. You talking about the Mexican restaurant?
No, I wasn't talking about that.
No.
We used to just go to like any pub, but there was the Anglers Tavern we'd go to for lunch and have a couple of shots or something just to liven things up in the afternoon.
Yeah, it was pretty boring. Yeah.
Oh, God.
All right. No, I was thinking about that place where people used to go have margaritas and tequila. And
I know the one you mean.
Sometimes
we
come
had
back
a Christmas party there.
Yeah, I cannot think of the name of it though. Anyway,
I think people more at that place were known for turning up coked rather than turning up.
Yeah, that was
drunk.
a bit later in our tenure. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Oh, it was the 90s, Carla. It was the 90s.
I'm always so naive to that kind of stuff. I don't know. It's always been one of those things that's been around me, but hardly ever come near me. Truthfully.
Yeah.
I was relatively naive to it, but then there was a lot of scurrilous gossip on the call centre floor.
Oh.
So, it'd be pretty, you'd have to be pretty stupid to not hear it at least.
I wonder if there's many call centres. Oh, there probably is. I get the impression that there's a lot of cokes around, only from seeing it on Instagram when there's constantly sort of like little things about, double bay, like fake newspapers, and it's always about young guys out, who don't talk to you on at work, and they share a bag and all of a sudden they're best friends and all that. And I'm like, oh, I guess it's still happening, but I missed all that.
A couple of years ago, I knew somebody who was having Coke on a Monday morning before she went to work.
And where was she working? Somewhere fabulous?
That was in a call. Yeah. No, it was in a call center environment. So just.
They must pay a lot more than they used to, don't they?
That's a lot.
Well, we had people in our office, Swanny.
I don't doubt it, but I would.
When we worked together. Do you not recall?
No.
And Ecstasy Tuesday?
No.
But in the morning too, like.
Really?
Oh, well, I can't speak about that, but
like this friend of mine would do it before work.
You're not talking MDU rats, are you?
Yeah, because that's got no MDU rats. To get themselves going, Clarky, I reckon that's to straighten you out and get you moving. But there was a person who obviously would enjoy a lot of ecstasy and various recreational drugs on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
And then they'd be coming down on a Tuesday.
Oh, my goodness.
And they were awful. On a Tuesday, every Tuesday, this person was an asshole. And I remarked to another colleague of ours who was like, what is wrong with her? I'm like, it's Ecstasy Tuesday, mate. See, I was aware of it, and I didn't do any of these drugs, but I was definitely aware of it. Anyway.
I always forget that need to take uppers to overcome the downers and downers to overcome the uppers.
Yeah.
Constant battle.
Well, I don't think it was working for Joe Pikul. He was getting himself into a bit of a pickle. And on one occasion, a limo had come to his house to collect him, I think, and he got really aggressive with the driver and sort of roughed him up and said, he thought he was having an affair with Sandy, his wife, and he pistol whipped him. He had a gun. I think that was...
He pistol whipped the limo driver?
Yeah, because he thought he was having an affair with his wife. He was just losing his cool, and apparently that was only one of a number of incidents like that where he was just becoming really an arse. So he and Sandy divorced, and in 1976... Joe Pikul enters Alcoholics Anonymous in the West Village in his neighbourhood. So he lives in a nice little place.
Good on him.
And off he goes. And by all accounts, it was quite the place to be. Alcoholics Anonymous, AA in West Village, was full of high-flying execs.
Yeah, good
artists,
networking.
Alcoholics,
models, fashion. It was quite the scene. But they were very supportive. But, it was a really conducive environment for people who were struggling with addiction, but to feel that they were part of something that they weren't totally foreign to. The people that were around them, they could understand, aspire to be like, or whatever else, so that they were dealing with the addiction is one thing, but they were also people that they kind of respected, admired, found interest in. It was part of that scene that was large in New York. It was just like a microcosm of it in Alcoholics Anonymous. Okay, so that's Joe Pikul and how he ends up at Alcoholics Anonymous in the West Village. Then I need to introduce you to Diane Whitmore. And Diane did not grow up in poverty. She grew up in a very comfortable, I guess you would call wealthy family in South Bend, Indiana. And I'd heard of South Bend, and I was like, how have I heard of it? Where is it? And the only thing I can look it up is it's the home of Notre Dame, like the university that has a big football team, and it's well known for being there. But other than that, I don't know why I know it. It sounds like it may be something out of a movie.
Is Notre Dame like Notre Dame?
Correct.
It's just how you say it in American.
Notre Dame, yeah. Yeah, they're a very famous football school. Anyway, so she had, I think I did see somewhere, and then it was never mentioned again, but I think her father worked for Studebaker, the car manufacturer, and at one point they also ended up in Detroit. So I think he was probably in management of cars, car parts and whatever else. So I think they lived a very comfortable life, but a very staid kind of existence. And I don't think that was what Diane saw her life being. She really wanted more, and she wanted to go to the big smoke, and she wanted to go to New York to become a writer. So she went off to college, I think, in the Midwest. And after she graduated from college, off to New York she trotted, and she also set up her life there, and she lived in Greenwich Village. And over the period of about 10 years, life didn't quite work out the way she had anticipated. I believe she had been married and divorced, but she had a bit of a drug problem. And I think it was a drug problem that related to a very heavy sort of social life. And she was also drinking too much. So she sort of got to a point where I don't think she was living her healthiest and best life. And I think the fast pace of Manhattan had kind of caught up with her. So Diane Whitmore walks into the AA in West Village.
Oh, what a nice place to meet.
Exactly.
What a meet cute that is.
It is a meet cute. Where
what is it? You had me at, what do they say in Alcoholics Anonymous? You had me at,
hi, my name's Caroline and I'm
I'm alcoholic. That's it.
This is around 1976, I think. So I think she'd been there. She'd been in New York for about 10 years. And it's so strange because the way she's described when she's younger is, she's very beautiful. But, there's an innocence to her just because of her background, really, very, polished, well put together young lady. But that's not really who she wanted to be, I don't think. So when she got to New York, she was much more, she's probably at that right age, probably in her 20s, very sexy, very vivacious, very social, and also really did want to live quite a nice life, in terms of she liked the trappings. So when she met Joseph Pikul, she was kind of attracted to him. He was wasn't obviously, but he was older than her. He had been divorced, but he was successful and he was wealthy. And I guess they had this shared experience at the time that they were both living, a sober, clean, or trying to clean life. I say that, but the very first photo that I've seen of them online is the pair of them cheesing with champagne. And I'm like, and then all the photos that I saw of them, and I can't exactly place them for which year it was, but I don't know that their sobriety lasted long or how that worked or whether they were managing it some way. I don't know if it's that black and white for them, but they
left Alcoholics Anonymous and went to Alcoholics Public.
Yes, but they were certainly probably at their best when they met. And Diane's friends said, look, he wasn't particularly attractive, but, he was this sort of, they called him, master of the universe, this big shot on Wall Street. And she was hot stuff. And, they really got together and they thought they were pretty, or she thought he was pretty fabulous. He thought she was pretty fabulous. And, within a very short period of time, she was pregnant. So they went on to get married, and they were married in 1978. So they would probably, maybe they'd been together for a year or so at that point, maybe less.
When they got married?
Yeah, when they got married. She was pregnant when they got married. So they went on, they had 2 children. The first child was a daughter called Claudia and a little boy called Blake a few years later. And by all accounts, they looked like they were, a pretty ordinary, rich family. To give you an idea, they looked like they were out of like a Ralph Lauren or a, something of that time, very preppy, very sort of, these, lots of leisure wear, sweatshirts and, headphones, Walkmans, that kind of stuff. With these 2 really gorgeous kids.
Did you see the episode of Kath and Kim when they walked down the street together in their parachute tracksuits?
Yeah, that kind of thing.
kind of look.
Exactly that kind of thing. And at times you can see that she's got a perm, and then he's got the beard with the really 70s, 80s, oh sorry, I guess 80s glasses. They look like they're of that time. And then, when they're dressed up, they're probably just going out for gym, but they look really very dressed up, shoulder pads and jewelry and, beautiful cars and
big hair.
Correct. So they're living this life, and the kids were, going to daycare and then to private school like they were young. But, to the outsider, they looked like they kind of had everything. They lived in a home that they'd bought in the West Village, which again is super cool. It was some historic building. So you can imagine a lot of character, like really living that New York life. And, it looked really rosy from the outside. Things aren't always the way they seem. And they might have had the townhouse it wasn't really a townhouse, but the historic house that they lived in the West Village. And they also had a summer house out in the Hamptons. But their marriage was starting to get a little bit challenging for them. And so roughly about 10 years in, things start to unravel. Joe becomes more controlling, and the one thing I don't know is if they're drinking on it. I can't really get a handle on whether that plays a role or not, but he doesn't really like her doing anything that he's not aware of. She's kind of just over it in some ways, and I think it's just another marriage that becomes a bit tedious. She's probably looking for some more excitement. God knows what he's looking for, but it wasn't on solid ground. And at this point, Diane makes a rather significant discovery. They're not allowed to go into the attic. It's one of those ones, where you pull down the stairs. He forbids her and the kids to go up there. They mustn't go up there. And so sure enough,
of course you're going to go up
she's
there.
going to go up and have a look. And when she gets up there, she finds...
get a lock-up, mate, if you want to hide shit.
She gets up there and there's a suitcase, and she opens it. And inside this suitcase is a whole heap of women's sexy underwear, negligees, bras, pants, stockings. Some of it's hers, but some of it's not. But alongside that, she finds photographs.
Are they in his size or...
So alongside that, she finds photographs of Joe dressed up in these clothes in very sexy and provocative poses. And really, she said, it was so shocking because it clearly wasn't something that he had just started to do. Like, it was sort of catalogued. And then there were also videos, and there was one video where he's in her wedding dress in a bed that she doesn't recognise, and he might be masturbating while he's in her wedding dress.
After the wedding.
I'm really annoyed. I'd say about 10 years after the wedding, actually.
Why do you say he might be?
Well, he was.
Was that because you didn't want to say it? Or because
she's trying to be polite.
He was rubbing one out whilst he was in the wedding dress. So
he gets sexual gratification of being in women's clothing.
And what I found quite interesting was there's been so much development, shall we say, since the late 1980s in that whole territory, that I think I'm correct based on what I've seen. This is not someone who's transsexual. This is a transvestite in the old-fashioned, what we grew up with sense of what it is. Someone who dresses up
sweet
as a woman, but is a male. Doesn't want to. I don't know that he does or doesn't want to be a woman. I don't know, and I don't know that was discussed at that point.
Clothes.
Yeah.
Could just be a kink.
Correct. So
yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah, so I think that's
because there's no, sorry, correct me if I'm wrong, but is there any evidence of him having homosexual relationships?
No, there isn't. There's
so he just likes wearing ladies' clothes.
And what we find out is that he's actually takes a separate apartment, not too far away, and I don't know that he even has anyone there, but it's where he has his space and where he can dress up as a woman, and it's where he takes.
Hang on.
Yeah.
So now I'm really confused.
Yeah.
Don't go upstairs because you might find my secret stuff. But I've got another apartment.
I think he then takes the
Now
apartment.
you know about me. I'm going to take an apartment.
That's the one thing I don't know.
Sorry, he took the apartment afterwards.
I don't know that that's necessary. I don't think that that's actually.
I thought that's where the bed was that he was in.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that it already exists. I think the photos were taken at the other place. So you are right. So there was something there, but there was other stuff like so.
Why would you bring
he
a
took
suitcase
other stuff?
Just convenient.
He probably had that up there. But I mean, she's putting the photos up there from the other place. I don't know that absolutely, but my understanding
for when he needed to get his jollies off looking at them. Yeah. He didn't have to go to the other apartment.
So there's a little bit of confusion around when that all happens, but upshot is he does end up, if he doesn't already have it, he does end up with a second little apartment that he takes himself off to. And then there were photos and videos of him. I mean, and I don't know what was worse. I think seeing the photos of him was one thing. It's actually the reenactment where they don't really have a lot more to show you. So they continue, you know, when a reenactment and they're stringing it out and you just go, yeah, we've seen that shot. Yeah, we've seen that. And you think some poor actors had to stare longingly into it. It's so cheesy. I don't think it would actually be like that. But that was
around in a leather miniskirt.
Yeah, well, not even that much.
Suspenders. Oh, it's just making me think of
not the real wedding dress.
Yeah. Oh no, what is it?
No, I can't remember what the dress is. The dress. No.
Oh yeah, when he's doing the vacuuming.
Freddie Mercury does the vacuuming, and
I want to be free.
I want to break free. That's it. Yeah. Anyway, so Diane's not pleased about this, and I think it's twofold. I think part of it is you're hiding something from me, but I think actually, given where she's at in her marriage, it's more like this is not going to become public because this will destroy you. It will destroy our family. This is just not something that needs to be out in the public domain, right? So she's not happy, and she starts saying,
also to your point about how much has changed in the last 30, 40 years.
Totally different environment.
At that time.
Oh, God.
No.
It is so different now. Like even in our, last 10 years, last 20 years, so different. It's like, oh, well, do it if I can want to do. Like I don't think people care as much. They just don't. And it's so much more well known, and we understand that that's just the way it is. It's not affecting anyone, just get on with it. So what she does is she goes to a divorce lawyer. So they start talking about, they're going to, obviously split up. This is not great. I'm unhappy. He's unhappy. She's unhappy. They're fighting all the time. It's not ideal. She goes to a very successful divorce lawyer and she starts talking to him about getting divorced. But she says, I'm not ready to leave him yet. And the reason she's not ready is because she doesn't want to be financially vulnerable. So she's willing to sort of keep everything calm and work out what she's got to do and also set herself up. She's not just about to walk out and have nothing. That's just not who she is, right? She's got this very lovely life that she wants to maintain. So she goes to the divorce lawyer and she hands him a sealed envelope and says, I don't need you to open this. I don't want you to open this, but anything should have happened to me, you'll need to. But other than that, just put it aside. And in that is photos or the copies of photos and the video and whatever else. So he actually has it from quite early on. Where things get a little bit confusing is I have seen one account that has nothing to do, where there's no mention of this at all. Then I've seen another account which says he suggested that she was blackmailing him. So she would, I've got the information. If you don't give me what I want, I'll let the world know. You're not going to be able to go back to Wall Street. You're not going to be able to do anything. I'll destroy you. But I only saw that once and as a footnote. So I don't actually think that was the case. I think they were really going through a situation where she was trying to get herself set up. Where I think it gets tricky is I think he could see that she held all the cards. Because if she chooses to, you remember we're going back to the late 80s and he says, my husband's a transvestite. I want custody. I think she would have been in a pretty strong position, right? Versus now, I don't think it's quite the same. She knows she's got the video or seen all that stuff. She's got evidence. He's concerned about his, career and, of course, potentially losing the kids. So actually, I think he just becomes really quiet, pressured to a point where he's terrified about where this is all going to end because it's not looking good for him. He doesn't feel like I think he's got any cards. What she does is she goes and gets a job. So this doesn't happen like in a month or whatever. This is over probably 6 months or else. And she goes and gets a job at a magazine called Harper's Magazine, and she's like an assistant to one of the directors there, and she loves it.
Is that any related to later Harper's Bazaar?
I don't know. Probably would have been, but Harper's Bazaar is
Harper's
was it more of an English one? So I don't know, but it'll be a big. It's a publishing. It's more a publishing house, I think. So it's not like a magazine. Right. I know, but it might have been. But it was a very glamorous job, and she really loved it, and she was very well liked and she was very good because she'd always wanted to be a writer and she'd done it before. So she thinks, rightio, I can't do this, be dependent on a guy again. I need to get my act together now. So she does she starts doing a short story, fiction writing course. She's working at Harper's Magazine. She's getting some money together. She's trying to sort herself out for when they do separate so that she's got a bit of life. And I think that instead of seeing that as a good thing, he didn't like that. He also thought he was losing more control and that she seemed to be like kind of getting on with it and creating a new life, a new sort of channel for her to sort of take. So
far out. Get over it, mate.
That's exactly what she's doing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's quite okay.
It is. She's like, correct. I need to get on with my life. I can't rely on him financially. What is wrong with this?
Yeah.
I don't care if you don't like it, mate.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So they head out. Now, this is where it all starts to happen. So as I said at the outset, on October 19th, 1987, the stock market crashes. And just a few short days after that, the whole world is spinning and Joe and Diane decide to take the kids out to Amagansett and they're going to work out what they do with the house. They're going to sell it, who gets what. And she tells a girlfriend that day, who she was actually supposed to have caught up with that night until the plans changed, that she's doing that. And she said, I think it's a stupid idea. You shouldn't do that. And she told a lawyer as well because she'd been, I don't think anything was secret. Like, I think he knew that she was seeing a divorce lawyer. It was all, we're heading, this is the path we're on. There's no haste to move out tomorrow, but, clearly this isn't working. So they take separate cars and he takes the kids down first. And Amagansett is in the Hamptons and it would take a couple of hours to get down. Like you go down the Long Island Freeway onto Long Island, and the Hamptons is sort of the lovely part at the end. And so he gets there, gets the kids organised, gets them to bed, and Diane doesn't even arrive until just after 1 a.m. And then it's the next morning. And the next morning, the kids are woken up by their dad, and he says, look, Mum's not here. Mum and I had a bit of an argument, and Mum's gone. But don't worry, we just need to take a little trip in the car. So they go and get into their, I guess you would call it a station wagon, like the wooden paddling kind of thing. That whole
National Lampoons.
Correct.
Like
they go and get into
Ford
that.
Or something. Yeah.
And first stop is the Amagansett hardware shop. And I've actually been in this exact shop because I know we had to buy stuff there. And he goes in there and he buys rope, garbage bags, cleaning materials.
Oh, there we go.
A wheelbarrow and a shovel.
Duct
he
tape.
spends over $400. This is like, I remember in the late 80s, over $400.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. And then when the clerk says, let me help you pack your boot, he will not let. He says, no, don't go near my boot. No, don't go near my boot. Just place it outside. I'll pack the boot. And he was very funny about that. At that point, Joseph then...
It's a station wagon.
Yeah.
Because I grew up with station wagons.
Correct.
Yeah, how are the kids not seeing? Because they're on a panel. I bet they're on a bench seat in the back.
No, he had them both in the front with him. And he had, because it was
On
a
the
bench
bench
in the
seat in the
front.
front.
Yep.
Yeah.
And poor Diane.
A blanket or something over the
She has
back.
been wrapped. He had her I think he tried putting her somewhere else overnight and then didn't work. So then he's gone and got her, put her in the back. So kids don't know. But then
so she's wrapped up in something.
Yeah. At this point,
Bloody hell.
he then starts to head to upstate New York. So he has to get off off Long Island kind of thing and then head up through, like you go beyond New York and then up. So, you always see it in movies, upper New York State, where it just all of a sudden it's all green and countrified.
It's all bushy.
Yeah, all bushy.
Not
That's
bushy,
a good
but,
foresty.
Foresty, yeah.
So as he drives up there, he calls a friend that he went to uni with who he hasn't spoken to in a decade and says, can I ask you a favour? Can you look after my kids this weekend? As you would do.
What?
Weird.
Weird.
What did his friend say?
Well, he said yes. So these
Mate.
kids were so gorgeous that when you see children that are just totally blonde, two total little blondies. I think they were like 8 and 6 or something at the time. So takes them.
So he's never met them, and can you look after?
Yeah, I don't know what
Can I
he's
just
telling
leave my
children with
children
you.
who've never met
Yeah.
you and I haven't seen you in 10
Yeah.
years? Can I just leave my children with you?
Again,
Weird.
is that of the times? I don't know. Anyway, he agrees.
No, I don't think so.
So he goes upstate and he drops Claudia and Blake off. Then he does another, I think it's 2-hour round trip. He goes down beyond New York to Boston or near Boston, where he turns up at Sandy, his ex-wife's house. And he says to Sandy, can I just, could I just bury something in your backyard?
No, you may not.
He does not.
He totally does.
A pet dog that died, and I've got nowhere in New York to bury it.
And I don't know
what does she say?
She ends up saying no, but I don't know how she survived. I'm surprised he didn't kill her, but she says no.
Bury 2 things in your backyard.
So then he heads back to New York City with Diane still in the trunk. A trunk? Is that what you call it? The boot. I don't know what you call it. The boot, yeah.
Well, if it's a station wagon, it's the back bit.
Yes. So if I'm correct, this is now, I don't know if it's now Saturday night. They went Friday night. This is either Saturday night or Sunday morning. I don't know when but he does call and he makes a false missing persons report saying that Diane's missing. But, it's early hours, so no one's really, and he suggests that he thinks she's having an affair and that he found a condom underneath but I never know if it never says whether the condom had been used or was in a packet. I don't understand what state that was in, but that at the house in Amagansett he'd found that and he believed that she was having an affair. So he's like, oh, maybe I reckon she's just run off. And they're like, yeah, she'll come back. Don't worry, she'll just run off. So he stays in New York. Sure. And then the next day.
No history of doing it. Has 2 children.
Who lodges a missing persons report and says, I think she's just run off though?
A murderer?
Someone who called.
Surely someone who's
drops into their ex-wife and go, please, can I just bury something in your yard?
Yeah. For me though, if the police are taking down a missing persons report, and the person is saying, oh yeah, but they're probably just run off. Yeah. Go, well, why are you here then? It's a red flag to just go. Don't try to then come up with an excuse. Don't look too hard. I just need something on paper to say that. Yeah. I don't know where they are.
That's exactly it. Yep.
I think as a police person, you'd be going, this is sus as I really should be looking into this.
So then on Monday morning, he calls the kids' schools and tells them the kids won't be in. And he heads up to collect the kids from old uni mate upstate New York.
Random mate.
Is Diane still in the back?
Diane is at that point still at the back. So what he has to do is they don't know if he panics or he just...
What month is this?
We're into like 3 days now.
So Friday, Saturday, yeah.
Is that warm?
No.
What weather
October,
is that like?
It's getting cold. Getting cold.
God, I didn't want to...
Yeah.
Yucky.
Like Halloween, become autumnal.
We're bordering on seepage, aren't we? It's gonna start leaking soon.
Well, he did get some plastic bags, so hopefully he double wrapped it.
Double bagged her.
But so on the way to collect the kids, he's like, right, well, I've got to get rid of her now. The kids can't get the car with it. It's time's up.
Because it's getting a bit smelly.
And this is where they don't really understand why he left her where he did, because it was not particularly well concealed. He kind of just pulls off on the state through road. So on one of these big sort of, not really a freeway, but a major highway, he just sort of pulls off and dumps her body not far off the road.
I'm sorry.
Like in a trench or anything?
Sorry? A ditch. Yeah, that was it. Like as it just, like as the road goes down, ditch. A drainage ditch.
I think I got lost. Has he picked up the kids now and he's dumping the body?
Now he can go and get the kids.
I know he's on his way.
Now he's on his way.
Sorry, I just wanted to check. Yeah, right. Okay.
To your point, now that the body's in the drainage ditch and he's on his way to get the kids, he stops off at like a fuel station / car wash and he goes in and it's, we were laughing at this before because it was $9 for like an everything you can wash. It's like, that must cost a lot in a day.
$300 exactly. now. Yep.
And then so he goes and he pays for that and he says, I'll pay whatever it takes, but you need to clean the boot.
Because there's a smell in here that's going to outlast religion.
Yeah, and so this guy goes and cleans it and he doesn't say it, smell or anything. Guard. He just says that he had to, the guy kept coming, Joe kept coming and checking on him, just making sure, is it clean? Can you get it clean? Can you get it clean? I'll pay you whatever it takes. Just get it clean, get it clean, get it clean. So,
and he's like, I don't know, I smoke 30 a day, I can't smell a thing.
Yes. So, who knows? It's a fuel station, don't know. Anyway, so at the same time, he also goes and throws something in the dumpster and off he goes. Off he goes to get the kids.
Murder weapon.
So after they've left, the guy, everyone's like, oh, who was that guy? He was a bit strange. the attendants at the service station / car wash, whatever else, they go and have a look in the dumpster and think, well, what's this? And what they find in there again is like a suitcase full of ladies' clothes.
Of ladies'
underwear.
Oh my God. Don't tell me it's his special suitcase.
But it's his stuff because it's a men's size. Like they were saying there was a pair of shoes there that were huge. Ladies' high heels that were like, size 12 or whatever else it is. I don't know how to describe that.
Would have been hard for him to get, and the heels all snap. I've seen kinky boots.
I was going to say, you'd think that he has to, you want to throw those. That would have been hard to get. Although, to be fair, he was in New York. Maybe you're going to get them anywhere. I guess that'd be the kind of place back in the 80s. There were probably shops dedicated for that kind of stuff. Not like downtown, I don't know, Perth. I think you'd struggle. Well, maybe not so much these days, but you know what I'm saying. He didn't have to wait to get it on Amazon. So he's dumped the body, he's cleaned the thing, he's got the kids, and he's thrown the stuff in the dumpster. And upon finding that, so these attendants find the ladies' lingerie, and there's a credit card in there that is Diane's credit card. So they call the local police and say, look, we think something's not right. And, of course, then they end up calling through to New York City because her address is linked to the credit card. And they go, that's kind of interesting. And they're like, well, what is odd is the fact that, from what we understand, Diane Pikul's described as a very petite, very fine woman. I don't think that those clothes would even come close. They sound like they're too big for her. So there you have it. So that's happening. So they're obviously starting to think, oh, okay, they'd already made contact. Because remember, he'd called originally, and they're now saying to go, this is not looking good for Joe. Then on October 29th, where is it? In that drainage ditch beside the New York State Thruway's northbound lane, about 3.5 miles south of the Newburgh exit, a light equipment operator with the state authority discovers Diane's body. He comes across.
It's quite extraordinary.
Yeah, he comes across the corpse.
Because I know you say that where he's put her isn't but still particularly well hidden, and you're right. But there's so many miles and miles and miles of drains and ditches off the side of highways. You are absolutely right.
It is kind of unusual.
Like there's a girl that was taken in England, Melanie Hall, and she was taken from Cadillacs or outside Cadillacs.
Yeah.
We used to go to, in Bath, and they found her remains eventually, and they were same sort of thing, that she'd been bagged and put in a ditch, and she'd been there for something like 10 or 11 years from when she disappeared.
Would you think when they found her?
And she'd been there all that time, right? Yeah. And eventually was found by someone, I think, cutting the lawn, and went, what are these bags? And there were bones in them.
I just can't believe that she was found so quickly. I think it's really unusual.
That quickly,
and the only reason was, well, not the only reason. I mean, yes, you said there'd be miles and miles and miles, but the reason he was there on that day was because there had been quite a nasty storm the night before, so they'd gone out to clean up after the storm. So they find her body.
Say it'd been a nasty smell.
No, there's no talk about a smell anyway. The medical examiner observed that she had died of strangulation and blunt force trauma, indicated by multiple bruises on her body. So they call Joseph in, they tell him what they found, and basically over a period of several hours, they kind of break him down, and he's just bitching and moaning about it, telling how awful she was, how she was a bitch and she was mean, she was this, that, the other. By all accounts, at about 1 o'clock in the morning or something, they say to him, how did you do it? And he gesticulates that he strangled her, and he says, you strangled her, the detective, and he nods and says, yes, you strangled her. Yes, I did. So at that point, they're able to arrest him. And at this point, they say to him, we need to strip you, and we need to check for any marks on your body, any signs of struggle, etc. And he refuses. He's like, I can't, I'm not getting undressed. And they're like, you have to. And if you don't, we'll do it.
Best Yves Salon knickers off
and
me.
If you don't, we'll do it for you now.
Yves Saint Laurent.
And sure enough, in front of all these, big blokey policemen, he strips down, and underneath his business suit, he has on a bra and pantyhose and ladies' panties.
Ugh, stop it.
And they're like, okay.
He's got his knickers from Yves Saint Laurent.
His briefs.
His briefs, yeah.
Briefs.
Boy cut?
Yeah, so he's admitted that he has strangled her, but he said that he did it in self-defense, and that it was she that was crazy, and that she was coming for him with a knife. And when he was initially spoken to, he did have some marks on his hands, and he said, "Oh, that was from roughhousing, with the kids or whatever else." And then when he needs to have like a defense or whatever else, he's like, "Oh, no, that was the knife that she had or whatever else, and it was because of that." So he ends up on bail, $350,000. And some of the things that they found very interesting were that he gets full custody of the kids.
He gets full
custody of the kids because there's no proof that he
No
had
option. Oh.
abused the children. So that was what they looked for apparently in the New York state law or whatever it was. So, and people would argue that, surely murdering their mother is abusing the child, but no, so the kids were with him during this stage. And whilst he's waiting to go to court, he gets married again.
So he's been charged with the murder.
Yep.
Let out on bail to look after his kids.
Yep.
And then got married again.
Yeah. So he marries a woman called Mary Bain. And I've seen footage of Mary, which I'll go on and describe in a minute. But then there was no sort of suggestion as to who she was. And then I've read somewhere that she was maybe a neighbour. So that's how which would make sense if they knew each other. Maybe she was from Amagansett. And I've seen like his attorney or something interviewed, and he walked in and said, "I'm getting married." And they're like, hey, I'm not sure that that's necessary.
That's a good look.
Not optically, I don't think it's going to do anything really going to do you any favours. I don't think that's wise because of where Diane's body was found, the trial will be happening in upstate New York. It's not happening in Manhattan.
Upstate New York. Right.
So the idea is that, when you're going up there, those people don't like, Manhattanites or yuppies or whatever you want to describe them as. Or murderers. Or anyone who's coming to their community and creating this kind of problem. So they're like, you need to tone it down kind of thing. You don't,
dial it down.
We don't go and get married. Anyway, so he went away, and then this guy who's being interviewed said, and 2 days later I found out he'd got married. And then
I'm less worried about him in that situation than I am her.
Mary Bain. If you like it, then you should have put a ring on it. She's like, come on, put a ring on it.
And, I did read in one place, and it's just one of those things where you don't really know whether it's true or not, but was that she left her wife and kids to marry him.
Her wife?
Her husband and kids, yeah.
Did she?
Yeah.
So it wasn't like she'd been sitting in the side wings waiting desperately for a chance.
Years.
I don't know. I just got no idea how that all worked out.
She's been in love with him for years, and he was vulnerable and she had her opportunity.
Yes.
I guess.
But he's just been charged with murdering his ex-wife. What's the rush?
Still wife. They weren't even divorced, were they?
Well,
they went to talk about being divorced.
They weren't divorced. She's just dead.
Yeah.
I don't know how that all worked.
Yeah.
Killed his wife.
But I only know this because the footage of them arriving at the courthouse, whatever else, this is like, his team talking, saying, look, we've spoken and said, Mary, we're not sure it's such a good idea if you attend or whatever else. She's like, okay. And Mary, it's, again, really not a good idea to attend in a full-length mink coat. And she's like, oh, right, okay. So they said that the first day she didn't wear the mink coat. She did something else. After she arrived, she took it off. And the second day she arrived late, made an entrance and turned up in the full-length mink coat.
God, driving everyone crazy.
Yes. So the whole thing became a bit of a palaver in the sense that they were not allowed to. His team spoke to the judge and said, right, there are these photos of him dressed in a woman's clothes. He's transvestite. You cannot have this jury know this because a local kind of parochial jury they'll find him guilty immediately. Won't even have to say anything that he did. They just will not. If there's an old grandma and someone who's kind of, most of the population at that point, they'll just go, nah, he's guilty. So all of that information was not shared. None of it was. That was not part of the testimony at all. That was never shared in court, that he was a transvestite or that he had been photographing himself or filming himself. That was kept off the table. It was more just, okay, well, this is what happened. They're saying that he was saying it was self-defense. Anyway, he wanted to go on trial. And they didn't really want him to, but he did. And then the day that he was due to go on the stand, he didn't turn up. And then Mary arrives with him and says he can't, he's drunk. He's been drinking vodka all night, I think. So they go to the judge and ask for a bit of a delay. And he's like, absolutely not. This has got to be wrapped up. he has a pot of coffee. We start in an hour or whatever else. So he took.
It's a line of coke.
Yeah, he took us down, and he was still drunk, and he was a mess.
So he's drunk and had a big hole of coffee.
He was just
pinging off
an
the
idiot.
caffeine.
So everything that they had, rehearsed for him, it was just diabolical.
Yeah, a mess.
Yeah, just all over.
We're just going to say, look, he probably did do it at this point. Like, our defence is so shot by this. There's no way we're coming back from it. Let's just go, no harm, no foul. He did it. Yeah. We're pretty sure.
Can you imagine him slurring his words and fucking
Yeah, just
she's a bitch.
He did say stuff like that.
She had it coming.
She was a she was a bitch. And this stuff that was like they had got his team said they had him so rehearsed and planned, and yes they do, get them ready to go to trial. He said, it was just a train wreck.
Train wreck. Yeah.
So on this, in March 1989, Joseph Pikul was found guilty of second-degree murder of his wife, but within, I don't know, days that they went to appeal because Mary produced a recording of Diane threatening to kill Joseph. So he had been taping her. He had private investigators following her and whatnot for a couple of months. We thought she'd get a boyfriend, this, that, and the other. And he had been secretly recording some conversations. And in one conversation, she clearly says that she's going to kill him, she's going to stab him with a knife, whatever else. And the prosecution, no.
That was definitely her. It wasn't something that Mary made up.
No. And I don't know why Mary had it, but Mary was the one who brought
that's what I was thinking.
Had brought it to Joseph's team. And he's like, why am I getting this now? So he takes that to the judge and says, look, I've just been made aware of this. So then they're going to appeal. So that is shortly after March of 1989. And then June 1989, so a couple of months later, 3 months later, Joe Pikul dies at 54 in hospital of AIDS. So
what?
Yeah. So there's no suggestion leading up to that she knew, she didn't know. There's no mention of it. It was actually a footnote at the end of the documentary that I watched. I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. But then, remember how I said I read this conflicting thing? I found this other article that said that was something that she was blackmailing him about, which I guess would make sense. But this never came up in the trial. No one knew. So I don't.
Who was blackmailing him?
She was. She knew that he had AIDS.
Diane.
Yeah, but Right. But again, none of this came up. He didn't say this. So I don't know if it was just all these secrets that he couldn't share and she did know or whatever else. I don't know.
Did he know he had AIDS?
I don't even know that. Because in all the stuff I'd seen. So it was just this one document of one article that I read, which was in.
Because what year was it that he died?
89. So it wasn't a good time to be saying that, that was happening. Not like it is now, it's fine. But so this is one article, this is in the Cinemaholic. It says, Joseph claimed Diane had found his secret in the spring of 1986 while cleaning his stuff and discovering women's undergarments in his suitcase, right? So we knew that. The pictures and the tapes of him in lingerie. Accusing him of probably infecting her with AIDS. Considered a taboo back then. He alleged she demanded divorce, full custody of their children, alimony and child support. Joseph claimed Diane threatened to blackmail him with the pictures if he did not comply with her demands. That never came up in anything that I saw anywhere, in all of the little documentaries and things I saw. It's kind of like someone's made that up or put that in, they've built that. Do you know what I mean? Because he'd never mentioned it. She'd never mentioned it. No one knew anything about this. He dies, they call and they say, look, he's actually died. No one was expecting him to. They think it's, AIDS-related complications. So I think he died quite quickly. But there's no suggestion anywhere else. And then I just read that one thing and I went, oh, I don't think that that's true. I think that's someone creating a little narrative around that because that was that last little bit that happened. Anyway, so Joseph dies. But what is interesting, and this is the end of my story, is his conviction was vacated in August of 1989 due to New York legislature because the appeal was happening, but there hadn't been a decision made before he died. So everything gets wiped. So he has a clean slate, even though he did actually factually murder his wife. But because they were in that appeal. Because
he was going to appeal.
Because he was appealing and then he died before they could get before there was a
That's a weird law, isn't it?
So a lot of stuff, and I couldn't see things. There were a couple of articles on the New York Times where they were talking about how there were two things that came about as a result of this crime. One was estate and who has rights to an estate if one of the partners murdered the other person. You'd think that they don't get it. Well, apparently they can still potentially get it. So there was legal wranglings around that and different precedents set as a result of this case, because I think he was going to get Diane's estate. And then there's this other piece which was about the fact that he'd gone from being convicted for second degree murder. He was appealing it based on a phone call conversation. It was in the process of being appealed. I mean, as I said, he was only he hadn't been sentenced, but the verdict had come down in March of 89. He died in June of 89. And by August of 89, it was all done.
God.
It's bizarre, isn't it?
It is.
It's very frustrating, I think, to think that, sometimes or quite often actually think the law is, I don't know, just maybe it's not always built. You think that it's built to protect people, but sometimes it just doesn't. And the one thing I've really tried to find, I can't, is what happened to the children. Don't know. I can't find anything.
How old would they have been when he died?
Probably about 10 and 8, I think.
Yeah, right.
If that. 8, 6, 9.
Maybe his mate from 10 years ago took him.
Oh, well, mate,
next
probably
of kin.
Yeah.
You're the closest to him.
Right. So that is a story.
There's a lot in that.
Well, it's strange. A lot of sort of, I don't know, very unusual people, I think, who I read somewhere that it was described as perversion and madness. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I think maybe that's how you would have viewed it in those days. I don't think you would anymore.
Yeah.
Now
I think that's a headline from that
correct.
time.
It's so strange how this story how it's aged. It is so much a crime of its time, in the sense that, if stuff happened like that now, I don't know, just those things wouldn't be.
I do think it's madness to go to your ex-wife and say, can I bury something in your backyard, to be fair.
I'll be honest with you. When I was listening to this story, Jeremy walked through when that part was playing and he went, what? What did I just hear? And I went, I know. And then he was doing something near me. He goes, I just heard that. Are you re-listening to it? I said, I've had to re-listen to it because I don't actually believe that's what I heard. Yeah.
That is...
It's extraordinary. The kids...
the kids of the old mate
were... No, the kids weren't. The kids didn't end up with the old mate. The kids went with a cousin, Mike and Kathleen.
That's a shame.
Oh.
I think I like the other version better.
Oh yeah, old mate from the university came and picked them up and said,
I've met them once.
I've looked after them for a weekend. It'll be fine. I'll take them from
We're
there.
besties now. Do you have a next of
rather
kin?
that
Well,
than
I've got this old mate.
I'd rather that than Mary Bain having him.
Oh, Mary Bain, her full length me.
Sounds like a loon.
Crackpot Mary.
I just think she enjoyed perhaps the notoriety and being with him.
And the
It
money.
sounds like
I don't know.
a
She wasn't a
scandal,
particularly attractive woman, and she was a bit. I don't know.
Rude.
She just looked like she
who
looked like she
knows?
was sort of really, our day in court in her mink.
I'm having my moment.
Yes.
And I don't wear your mink.
I never thought
I'll wear
I
it
would.
tomorrow then. I'll
I'll
turn up late
and I'll make a scene.
in my mink. Yeah.
I'll wear the mink, you wear my knickers, and we'll be fine.
Oh, yeah. It'll be something like that.
Yes.
Oh, my Lord.
Right.
What a strange story.
I know.
Yes, as you said, there was no hint of him being homosexual, but,
Yeah.
he'd been married how many times? Twice?
Didn't he?
Oh, 3 with Mary. Yeah.
Mm.
The third
Yeah, I
time.
don't-
Yeah, third
Crackpot.
time's a charm.
Yeah. I don't.
Crackpot.
There's no one came out of the woodwork and said that they were, his partner or that he was doing anything.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, a blood transfusion in the 80s
any
could
of
have
those
given
things,
you
yeah.
AIDS. Who knows how he got it. Yeah. It's only the thing about the wearing ladies' clothing that make you think there was anything of a sexual nature that might have
And the
caused
thing,
it.
I kind of assumed that's where we were heading, because when that was the reveal in the documentary, it was like, oh, he wore women's clothes. Like, okay. And I thought, oh, I know where we're going to go with this. He's, hosting people at this other apartment. No, they never said that. It was just like, he just over there taking photos. Okay.
Just over there putting on his pantyhose, trying not to put holes
For
in
when
them.
the internet comes.
That makes me laugh. What women go, God, I really love doing that. The pantyhose. What a fucking nightmare.
It reminds me, when Swanny was here, we went to the National Gallery for the Vivienne West thing. There was a man there who was dressed in women's clothing.
Not
And,
part
you
of
know,
the not
to your
part of
point,
the exhibition, actually.
not part of the exhibition, a
patron.
patron. But, you know, it's one of those things that nowadays you hardly
Nah.
even notice it really. And the only thing that drew my attention was he had these nice tights on. And I thought, geez, he's done well to put those on and not get a hole in them. And then when we got outside and there was more
Yeah.
light, he actually did
Had
have
a
holes
ladder.
in them. And it really just, it disappointed me. It really did.
Cheapened
Because
the
I
whole
thought,
thing.
Yeah.
it did. He had a nice outfit going on. You know, because sometimes I look at people who are dressed in women's clothing that wouldn't
Like women.
traditionally normally wear them. No, I'm talking about people who wouldn't traditionally you'd expect to see dressed in women's clothing. And sometimes, you know, I think if you're going to do it, could you do it better?
Yeah.
You know, could you actually look all
I
right?
think
Because
that
I can't
often.
stand it.
I think that's
I mean,
so
I
If
say
you're
that
going
to-
to appropriate my gender, could you at least do it nicely?
Don't you think that quite often?
Mm.
It's like, what's
But I
that?
say
when I
that
see
about
it, I think,
women who
oh.
wear women's clothing too.
Oh,
Like,
totally.
and about men
If
who
you're
wear
going to
men's
appropriate
clothing.
your own gender,
Whatever.
wear it
Just-
properly.
But I do know what you mean. It's like,
Yeah.
if you really want to be a woman, and I think, God, couldn't you have found something that it's a little bit more indicative of what a
They're not saying
what a
they want to be
nicer
a
woman?
glamorous woman.
I know.
I want to be a
Mine look like
slapper.
dogs.
Yeah, we've gone to the op shop and got the
Yeah.
oldest nightie you could find and traipsed around town in that. Why are you wearing that of all things? Anyway, but this man had actually quite a nice outfit on, but he had a ladder in his tights, which, yes, disappointed me. But other than that, you know, in this day and
Don't
age, don't
care.
really care two hoots about it. Swanny was looking at the crowd going, oh, it's so very Melbourne.
It was a very
I'm like, yeah,
Melbourne
they're all in
crowd.
black.
Yeah, especially the women. The women look very
Yeah.
Melbourne, like very arty and just like
I would
interesting
say.
haircut, interesting shoes. Not like Perth.
Yeah, a little bit lesbian,
Yeah.
I'd say
Yeah,
too.
probably, yeah.
But that's all right. I got nothing against that. I just think this man's awful. I think it sounds like they were, I mean, let's face it, the meet cute was in our Alcoholics
Yeah.
Anonymous. So it sounds like they were both probably a little bit self-destructive
Yes.
anyway.
And that's the thing. It's
And-
hard to get a real
yeah.
sense of what Diane was really like, because I'd be honest with you, I've seen her portrayed both ways. I've seen her, you know, she was really quite loose and she liked dangerous men and she'd been in bad relationships before. Well, you know, that might have been the case. I mean, she's in her 20s. Who kind of hasn't at the time. And then, you know, there was all this sort of suggestion that she was such a wonderful mother. But he had made claims much earlier than when the divorce came out that she wasn't such a crash hot mum, in the sense that she was often doing what she wanted to do. The kids were always with, you know, help or in daycare or nannies, whatever else he paid for
It's
everything.
the 70s though too.
80s in this case.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but, you know, not to cast shade on my own mother and her parenting. Mum was at home with us all the time, but it was just a different
Yeah.
time. We're Gen X, right? We're latchkey kids. We all went outside and rode our bikes till night time. Mum was working and most of our mothers were working and, you know, and so it was kind of a thing. And the working woman thing, you know, there was very much women's liberation was a big movement and women were trying to get jobs and women were trying to do things
Yeah.
for themselves. And so kids did have to fend for themselves. And it sounds like Joe's a bit of a fucking
I think Joe
twat.
really would be a not very nice character. I think that
He sounds awful.
He had become successful as a result of those traits which are valued in that environment, or certainly in those days. So
Yeah.
he's lauded and successful in one respect. He's got this sort of tumultuous kind of relationship with alcohol and how he deals with women. And then you add on
He's just like an
the
asshole.
fact that he's got this secret, and then you put all of that together, and I imagine it probably just a bit of a ticking time bomb. It was too much of a liability to have that about, because it was going to get exposed
No.
somehow, right? No one sits on that forever. He was probably just thought,
Imagine wearing your ladies' knickers when there's a chance the police are going to pick you up.
yeah. So it's still
Like,
so,
that's the other
yeah.
bit I don't get. Is like, why would you even be, I don't know.
Putting yourself at that
I mean,
risk.
it's quick,
Yeah, yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
it?
Because they feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. Like you've just murdered your wife, and things are closing in potentially, but you still think as a priority, I've got to wear those
I
stuff.
put my pants
That
on.
probably tells
Yeah.
you a lot about his mental state in terms of how he viewed it. It probably
I
was
think
essential.
driving 2 hours to his ex-wife's house to ask if he can bury his
That to me
current
is the
wife in the
sticking point, right?
backyard.
Yeah.
I can't get past that.
Come on, Swanny,
it's
come
not like she
on.
lives just around the corner. He's
Yeah,
driven
it's
for
pretty bad.
2 hours.
I don't think they had a great relationship. Remember, they'd got divorced and he'd beaten her up
Like-
and been a bit shit to her. I don't think he was
I mean,
come on,
likely,
mate.
likely, if he didn't go to ask her a favour, she'd say "fuck off." Let alone,
Can I bury something?
something in your backyard? And by something, I mean someone.
Isn't that bizarre?
I think for my sentence for him, because I think he got away with it entirely, he needs to not die and he needs to go to jail.
Yeah.
I'm not comfortable with his posthumous pardoning
Isn't
either.
that strange?
No. Well, it's because they couldn't pin it on him, but that's the
Well,
thing.
they
It's
did.
like I'd rather...
They
Just
did.
because he
Appealed
appealed
it.
it doesn't mean
True.
he wasn't
Yeah,
found
true,
guilty.
actually. Yeah, that was nonsense, actually. You're quite right. All right, well, yeah, no. He's certainly not
Yeah,
pardoned
no.
by me. Yeah, no.
Yes, his
Very
conviction
Australian.
was
What
vacated
about-
in August 1989 due to a prevalent New York legislature that required the appeal to be decided before a defendant's death.
Hang on, go back. The appeal or his
appeal.
To be
conviction was
decided
vacated?
before his death.
The appeal to be
Weird.
decided.
Yeah, because of the appeal.
Yeah. So it was like the
Just
other
the
thing
fact
didn't
that he
matter.
lodged
Been
an appeal.
convicted.
I
Tough
think they
shit.
just go, now that he's dead, don't speak ill of the dead. He's dead. Doesn't matter
well,
anymore.
I mean,
We'll
he-
just let it all go.
Gosh. What about
It's a
you,
lot.
Clarky? It is a lot.
I don't really get
Fair
it.
enough.
I don't know. I don't know what to say. I
It
don't.
was rather bizarre, wasn't it?
What? What even happened here? I
I don't know.
don't.
I know what you mean. Sorry, which one?
It's just mental. What do I do with that?
I'm so glad you agree because that was the kind of thing. Like, you know, when you do a story, you think, "Oh, I'll find something that'll make sense
Here's
of that,
the bit.
or there'll
Yeah.
be a motive that connects this to that." No.
This will make everyone
then-
angry. This will do.
Yeah, and every time I would see a bit more, I'd be like, "Oh God, that just complicates things more." And honestly, that bit about when then he approached his ex-wife, he drove the round trip down to Boston, and then approached Sandy and asked her to bury the body in the backyard. And at first, he didn't tell her what it was, and in the end, I think she worked out what it was. No, you can't bury Diane in the backyard. I don't know if that's
He
true.
gets bailed, and crackpot Mary says, "Hold my beer." This story's not done.
Yeah. She says if I had a bigger garden, you would have been able to bury her in
I've
there.
Yeah.
got plenty
for
of
sure.
room.
Isn't that shocking?
God. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think, of course, I don't like the fact that he's killed his wife. I don't understand why it happened. I can't kind of get my head around that.
Yeah.
So, yes, Schmitty, I agree with you. Definitely jail. But
I think some
just
very
don't
not
know what
sexy
to-
underwear. I don't know if this is. Do you know when I just think
The
I don't know
Nancy
if I-
gets fancy pants.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say this in this day and age, but I think getting him some because it was all lacy jazz, of course. What about a pair of really jockey, really sensible cottontails, ugly
The big nana undies.
that-
Yeah.
that
Nana
don't feel
undies, yeah, the
sexy
ones
or
I wear.
lacy
Yeah,
or feminine or anything.
Yeah,
Just
that are
some
probably
big girl pants.
stretched out of
Yes,
shape too, so they
just
don't
gr-
fit
yeah.
fit properly.
The thing I don't know how that would work, but I'm like,
Second hand instead of
you might like that.
You could.
Yeah, you
could
might
get.
too.
You
I don't
could
know.
have.
I don't
You
know.
could have it also made if we want to be really punishing. We could get him, like they used to make underwear out of thistles and stuff for purposes of punishment. So he could wear bonds, granny pants made out of
I mean, that's not the
horsehair or something, so it rubs.
that's not the
Oh,
crime though. I mean, I'd rather take his hands off so he can't strangle his wife.
yeah. That's so true. That's what I feel like. I'm being frivolous, and I don't really know what else to say. But yeah, he murdered.
Well, I mean, I think
somebody.
you have to be right. It's a little bit crazy, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just
So silly. I know. I'm sorry, and it's awful because we're laughing, but some poor woman died. But it's so
of
stupid.
course,
Yeah.
yes.
It's so silly, all the bits that go along with it. That you're like, oh, okay, all right. And how does that lead in? Oh, that doesn't really marry up with that. Oh, that doesn't matter. That's just something that happened. Oh, and then he just
it
died
doesn't
suddenly.
feel
Oh, no
like
one knew
real
that.
life.
No. Yes. Well, Wikipedia
I don't-
didn't take it
yeah.
seriously. Clearly,
Yeah, obviously.
they were like, "What? Nah, too hard. Don't believe it.
Can't
Don't
join
believe
that together. Can't get a chronology
Don't
on
believe
that.
that.
Can't even describe that one trip. God. All right. Well, That was an interesting
something.
case. Thank you, Swanny. That was something, yes. Certainly
Sure
hadn't heard of it,
was.
so good one. Well, I think we might have to all go and think about that one for a bit. So, as we say every week, miss you already. Ciao.
Ciao.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Trial by Wine. You can contact us at trialbywine@gmail.com. Please rate, review and subscribe to Trial by Wine on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. If you'd like to support us, you can become a patron at www.patreon.com, Trial by Wine, or visit our website www.trialbywine.com to donate to us. Your support will help us cover many more cases and apply wacky sentences. We really appreciate you listening and hope you tell everyone about us. Our cover art is by John Christo and music is by Beauchamp from pixabay.com.